Mr. Speaker, the start of 2020 greeted us with the welcome news that 2019 was the first time in over 20 years that no homicides were recorded in Bermuda. Mr. Speaker, this is a testament to the hard work of all involved, including the Bermuda Police Service, the Gang Violence Reduction Team led by Pastor Leroy Bean, and our valued community and social partners. I will take this opportunity to commend the Police Commissioner, Mr. Stephen Corbishley, and the dedicated men and women of the Bermuda Police Service for all of their efforts. Mr. Speaker, we have made significant progress in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, Mr. Speaker, Bermuda was facing a dire situation with multiple murders a year and rampant gang activity. In fact, between 2009 and August 2017, Bermuda had recorded 48 murders, inclusive of firearm fatalities. With Bermuda's population of around 66,000 people and with a size of 21 square miles, that is a considerably high statistic. Mr. Speaker, during the height of our gun and gang violence era, we were facing a crisis. Our court system was inundated and overwhelmed with criminal cases. Mr. Speaker, it became common to require personnel from our uniformed services to safeguard and protect our courts during high-profile murder and assault cases. It also became common, Mr. Speaker, for our hospital and our prison to be placed on lockdown to protect staff and people inside those institutions. Mr. Speaker, it also became common to see increased police officers on our streets. In some cases, these officers were armed. These were unprecedented times for our country. But, Mr. Speaker, Bermuda was facing international reputational risks as a result from the ongoing gang and gun-related crime. Our neighborhoods were under siege. Our people lived in fear. Our mothers were burying their sons. Our children were being left fatherless. Families were being destroyed. Bermuda was losing a generation of young black males because of gun and gang violence. Mr. Speaker, rightfully so, there was a heightened sense of unease and concern in our community. Violence and antisocial behavior had to be addressed, and the people of Bermuda demanded action. So in late 2017, Mr. Speaker, the Progressive Labour Party government, through the Ministry of National Security, introduced a multi-pronged plan to tackle gun and gang violence and antisocial behavior. We recognized that strong enforcement was a large part of the solution, but we also knew that we could not police our way out of the crisis. Mr. Speaker, we knew that we had to fundamentally address the root causes of violence and ongoing gang activity. Solutions to these problems demanded a cohesive approach in education in our homes and families, by our churches, and in every institution playing a part in Bermudian life. Mr. Speaker, addressing the impact of poor educational outcomes, income inequality, had to form the foundation for our understanding and our drive to work to find solutions. So we undertook to provide a singular focus on implementing programs to reduce gang violence and antisocial behavior. Mr. Speaker, we undertook to provide opportunities for young people looking for a pathway out of gangs, including assistance with resuming educational pursuits and skills training. Mr. Speaker, we undertook to equip parents, teachers, and community leaders with training in identifying at-risk young people and intervening and preventing them from being caught up in a lifestyle of violence. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we undertook to engage and involve key individuals in our community to aid us in addressing and stemming the multi-generational non-addressed trauma and the violence that it causes. Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, we ended up creating a structure around program development, project management, and case management, and emergency responses to incidents. This structure included the implementation of an interagency gang enforcement team, which is operational arm to tackle gang and gun-related violence. This group includes the Bermuda Police Service, Corrections, Immigration, Educations, Customs, Court Service, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Other critical components of our strategy, Mr. Speaker, was the creation of the Gang Violence Reduction Team. The Gang Violence Reduction Team has had critical success over the last 2 years and has been instrumental in addressing the violence tensions in our community. Recently, Mr. Speaker, I shared with the honorable members of this House that there has been a number of ongoing tactics and initiatives through the Gang Violence Reduction Team and the strategies that they have employed to address issues with reference to antisocial behavior. Now, as we focus on 2020, our ministry remains committed to introducing programs aimed at reducing violence. Mr. Speaker, we have seen our most rewarding results among our young people in our school system, where the Gang Violence Reduction Team has been hard at work. Last summer, we launched the Gang Violence Reduction Team's works in our placement and mentoring initiative. The pilot program saw 15 local companies host 14 students for a 6-week training program. Sure. Within our public school system, the Gang Violence Team relaunched with its administrative and student services teams at our 2 senior schools, the Cedar Bridge Academy and the Barclay Institute. This year, the Gang Violence Reduction Team will be partnering with the Barclay Mile program and launching My Ambition program at the Cedar Bridge Academy. Another initiative that has been seeing encouraging and positive results is Redemption Farm. Mr. Speaker, the Redemption Farm has been operational for around 6 months. Our trainees include young men who are of an age where they will be vulnerable to joining the gang lifestyle. The program has 10 trainees. Each of the participants has expressed their desire to redirect their lives towards pro-social and a productive path. The current trainees will stay in the program for another few weeks, and the goal is to see each of them transition into a full-time education or full-time employment opportunities. Mr. Speaker, it bears repeating. Our government is making great and substantive strides in curbing crime and antisocial behavior. The proven formula: strong policing, engaging community programs, and involve community partners, all working together, have resulted in a safer Bermuda. As a country, we must commend the Gang Violence Reduction Team led by Pastor Leroy Bean for the outstanding work that they have done. I also wish to again thank the Bermuda Police Service for their invaluable partnership and for the enforcement efforts aimed at combating violent crime in Bermuda. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, none of this success would be possible without the partnership and support from our private sector businesses who believe in the work that we are doing, and of course, to our community and social partners. We know that we have still much work to do, and ultimately, we all want a better country and a safer country, and more importantly, a more prosperous country. We must continue to work together to make sure that Bermuda's neighborhoods and our communities are a safe place for all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.